There's a nice, interesting gentleman named Yasser Arafat, and he came to Lincoln Center. Now, I didn't have the money to buy the ticket to go in to listen to the concert, so a bunch of us were on the outside of the concert. And there was only one man, one individual, one person who was able to have the fortitude, moral clarity, and guts to go over to that gentleman and say, "Sir, you don't belong here." And I can tell you, it took guts from the White House to all across the country and all the dignitaries and many people around the world, and including, surprisingly, the New York Times, really castigated the mayor for doing such an honorable thing, but we know he did the right thing. Now, in recent history, there was another gentleman, a prince from Saudi Arabia, and he decided that he should give New York City, the mayor, a $10 million check. And the mayor kindly accepted the check, but just a short time after receiving the check, I think it was just a couple of days or less, that prince said that the reason all this terrorist activity and the towers coming down is because of the state of Israel. Well, again, Rudy Giuliani had the fortitude, the moral clarity, and the guts to give back a $10 million check. But he supports the state of Israel, he supports the Jewish people, and the relationship between the United States and Israel is steadfast and strong. My dear friends, I would like to definitely introduce you to Mayor Rudy Giuliani.
We should make peace based on realistic things, not based on sentiments. We had too long a period of time where we tried to pursue peace based on sentiments. Now it has to be based on realistic things that we can see, that we can touch, that we can feel, and that actually happen. If we can do that, then we'll do something that we can regard as a realistic peace, and that would be a very good thing. It's one of the reasons that I believe very strongly that in reaching an agreement, reaching a peace with the Palestinians, the first point that I always state is that the Palestinians have to accept the right of Israel to exist as a Jewish state. I believe that the United States and Israel have always been very close. I believe the United States and Israel have always had a very special relationship. It's rooted in our common background, common values, a similar way of looking at the world, tremendous respect for human rights, for human life, for the human being. The defining issue of our time is the Islamic terrorist war against us. Their desire to conquer us, destroy us, take us over, change us, it has a lot of different forms to it. It's their disagreement at profound level with the kind of societies that we've built. Societies in which people have rights, societies in which people have freedom of religion and can practice their religion in the way that they want to, as opposed to someone telling you it has to be in a certain way, and if not, you're subject to penalty or death. They're enraged with us because of the rights that women have in our society. They are angry at us because of our elected institutions, because of our private property. Now, what I just said are all the things that are best about us. These are not things we can negotiate away. There isn't room for negotiation. This is not about the boundary of a country or a trade dispute or some unfairness in some dealing that has gone on where maybe one side is wrong and the other side bears some responsibility too. And I don't say this because I believe we're perfect. We're not. The United States is not perfect. Israel is not perfect. We've made mistakes, we've done things wrong. We're countries that have an ability to self-correct, which is a beautiful thing about us, which means we can acknowledge our mistakes and try to fix them. But in this particular war, this is a war where we don't have room to compromise, because we're not going to compromise with our freedom of religion, and we're not going to compromise with our freedom for women, and we're not going to compromise with our right to elect officials, we're not going to compromise with our rights of private property, or we're not going to live under the kind of society that they, I believe, in a fantasy world, think they can achieve. So that means that they are at war with us, and then the question is, how do we best handle it? How do we deal with it? How do we prevail in this war against us in the most effective way possible? And the way we do it, I believe, I can summarize in one word: offense. We have to be on offense. We had been on defense in the past. Going back to the 60s and the 70s and the 80s and the 90s, Islamic terrorists were killing Israelis, killing Americans, killing Westerners, and killing their own people. And the reaction generally was to be on defense. Sometimes we would react, sometimes we wouldn't react. And when we did react, it would often be fairly minor reaction. And then worse than that, when some of these terrorists were captured, and many of them were, in Europe, they were released from prison, which set a very bad tone and a very bad process. Even worse than being on defense, almost seeming to be in a state of fear of what they might do, and therefore they had to be released because worse things would happen. Well, when September 11, 2001 happened, I believe most Americans, and certainly the President of the United States, figured out very quickly that what we have to do now is to be on offense. We have to So my first commitment in the 12 commitments that I've made to the American people: if I'm elected President of the United States, America will remain on offense in the Islamic terrorist war against us. While I was a United States attorney, I also worked to deport former Nazis who had been in this country, and in that capacity learned a great deal more than I had even known before about the Holocaust, and again, part of the rationale and the basis for the existence of the State of Israel. And as mayor of New York City for 2 terms, I used to tell Ehud Olmert that I had more, he was mayor of Jerusalem at the time, that I had more Jewish citizens than he did. After I left office, I led the United States delegation to the OSCE conference on anti-Semitism. And I did it because anti-Semitism is a disease that we must have zero tolerance for. And that's what I told the Congress. We've got to be able to stand up against views like this at the earliest possible moment. And I'm very proud of the United States when we do that. And I will make sure that the United States does that if I am President of the United States. I want to lower taxes so you make more choices about your money. I also want to give you more choice over your child's education. You should decide on the school that your child goes to, not the government. You should have more choice with regard to your Social Security account. You should have the ability to have a personal account if you want one. If you want the government to handle your money, fine. But if you want some of that money to handle yourself, you're an American, I trust you, I want you to have that extra degree of freedom. And I want you to be able to have the ability and the room to buy your own health insurance, so you don't have to get it from an employer. So we'll provide a very large $15,000 tax exemption so you can buy your own health insurance. It can be yours, it can be a product that fits you, and you can make your decisions about your health between you and your doctor and not some government official. I have said in my 12 commitments that I will end illegal immigration. We'll do it. We'll do it at the border, and we'll do it by a tamper-proof ID card, which will allow for more legal immigration, which we happen to need. We need more people in this country to help us. They have to come here legally, and they have to identify themselves. And I will work day and night to make America energy independent.
If you elect me, you're going to be electing someone who is going to want to remain on offense in the terrorist war against us. I am not willing to withdraw from Iraq unless we have victory in Iraq. So, I will make it clear that Iran will not be allowed to become a nuclear-armed power.
I can sum it up this way. The purpose of running for president is to make this country safer, to make this country stronger, to make this country more prosperous, to move more people out of poverty, to win the terrorist war against us, and to turn this country over to the next president and the next generation as a country in which young people can look up to the sky, have great dreams, and have the chance to realize their dreams. That's an America of unlimited possibilities. That's the America that we can create together. Thank you very much.